Welcome back to another episode of Satisfactory Update 8 in the Unreal 5 engine. We're currently using the experimental build of Satisfactory. And in this episode, we are going to get rid of our biomass power generation and move to coal power generation, as well as we are going to finish off Tier 3 hub upgrades. So sit back, relax, and let's jump into it. So this is now the fourth attempt for me recording this video. I've been having some audio issues with my mic, trying to get it configured just right so that it didn't sound like garbage for you guys. Please let me know in the description if you have noticed any improvements with the mic quality. And, but what did we complete last time? Last time we got the phase 1 of the space elevator completed, as well as we got started on our Tier 3 upgrades, which was completing the coal power as well as improved melee combat. So, of course, we have our new Xenobasher, and we get to break into building some coal power up there on that plateau up there. So that's what we're going to get started on, is with the coal power, because I am so sick and tired of biomass generation and having to go out and gather up wood and leaves to generate it into biomass, to turn it into solid biofuel. We're past that. It's time to get automated power in here. So, all right, let's get started with some coal power. Okay, here we are up here at our plateau, up on the hillside beside the lake here, where our 3 coal nodes are. We've got 3 pure coal nodes running with Mark 1 miners over there. And we've got a platform here laid out that we're going to be building our coal power plant on. It's a 2-floor structure. We're going to have the coal power plants and the water logistics on the top floor and the coal logistics on the bottom floor. And of course, we do have Lumen enabled, so it is quite dark under here because there's no lighting effects or anything. So that's why it does kind of look like it's a little overshadowed and stuff in here. But as we develop throughout the game, we'll be able to add some lighting features in here to kind of brighten it up a little bit. So the first thing that we got to do is we got to get coal from these nodes over here over to that platform. So we're obviously, because these are pure nodes on a Mark 1 miner, we are dealing with 120 items per minute off of each of these. So we need to make sure we have the conveyors set up as Mark 2 conveyors for this. And we're just going to get everything all kind of geared up here and lined up in advance so we know exactly how we are feeding all this stuff through. And we're going to build a little platform here that's going to be like a stacked elevator system to be able to transport these items from the top floor, from this like top edge down to that lower edge. And to do that, we're going to be using our new conveyor holes that we've got set up here. When you're working with conveyor holes so that you can get everything flowing in the right direction, go from the bottom first, attach your elevator, and then bring it down. This makes sure that the items are flowing in the right direction for you. And because these are a stackable conveyor line that we're getting set up, we've got 3 of them set up here. Next, we'll come along with this conveyor, and we're just going to back it up to where it lines up, bring it over to this, and oh, that's interesting. I didn't kind of expect that. We're going to delete this first one out and get rid of this because it wasn't linking properly, and we need to bring it right to this front edge. Okay, fine. I'll put the conveyor hole back now, and then we'll bring this elevator through and set it up. Now, the reason why we do the bottom ones, if we did the top ones and we click this into place, it would have the directionary flow of the items in the wrong direction. So that's one thing you want to keep in mind when you're working with your elevators and the conveyor holes that are here. The other thing too is click on the hole first and then link it to your conveyor. And then that way everything will be compact and not take up a huge amount of space. And then we come up with the next one and we come up with the last one. There we go. We've got our stackable elevators all lined up and ready to go to be able to move our products to the next floor. Now I just got to get the conveyors over here and move this coal down to this next level. Okay, so I've got the conveyors coming over here now. Now it's just a matter of getting them all to line up and feed into the right elevator. So we're coming down with this first one. We're going to bring it up on a slight rise and then feed it in. We've got nothing clipping and in the way. The next one, we are going to do the exact same thing. Bring it up on a rise and feed it in. There we go. We've got our 3 conveyor lines all functioning that way. Now we've got to continue this down because we need to get it all the way down to that bottom floor of where we're going to be building our coal power. Now, we are dealing with 3 lines of coal here. Now, we're actually only going to be using 2 of our coal lines for the coal power because one of these pure coal nodes is going to go all the way down to our factory to look after our steel manufacturing that we're going to be getting to once we get one of the tier 3 milestones unlocked. Then we get into basic steel production and we get to, use that coal. That coal is going to go into a foundry with some iron ingots and be able to make our steel ingots that we're going to need later on. So that's why we're going to reserve one of these conveyor lines here specifically for working with our steel production. But then the other 2 are going to be looking after our coal power, and coal power is going to be, it's going to be so much nicer for us. I can't wait to actually have automated power. It is going to make our life so much easier. Now you see we're doing the same thing here on this side for our elevator system, our stackable elevators. And then of course I'm also removing that one little foundation there so it all looks nice and neat and tidy. And as you can see, we do have our first conveyor all set up there. Now I need to run along here with some elevators because we've got to make this all stacked up a bit. So that's got to go there. And there's 2 conveyor lines we're elevating. And we got this one here. And then at the 90-degree turn as well. Make sure that's clicked in there and there. Perfect. Okay, let me get the rest of this coal down there. Okay, so we have our coal all moved over here and it's at the right level now for us to be able to work with. And as you can see, the very first conveyor, we do have it running down towards our ramp that's going to lead down to our main factory for our steel production. So that is now reserved. Next thing we want to do now is we want to have a look at our coal generator. So click on the power tab, grab your coal generator, and we're going to be putting this down right on this one right here. Perfect. Okay, let's talk a little bit about coal. Up on the screen right now, I am loading a little chart that I have got from the new wiki. And of course, remember that satisfactory.wiki.gg is the new wiki, the official wiki for Satisfactory. And we're looking at the top line because that's the type of fuel we are dealing with, which is coal fuel. These generators consume 15 coal per minute. We have 120 coal per minute coming in off of our conveyors here. So that means that we can run with 8 coal generators. Now, ideally, I would love to have 4 on one side to kind of maximize our splitters. And then 4 going on the other side. So our splitters are working properly, which is this one. So this is how I would normally do it if everything was unlocked. So as you can see here, we have our intakes all lined up, and I would go ahead and I throw some conveyor holes down here like so and like so. And then we would feed our fluid logistics right down the middle in between. The downside with this is we can't do that right now because we only have Mark 1 pipes that are not stackable. We don't have the stackable component yet. We haven't unlocked that. So we can't have our pipe stacked here to get the right amount of fluid through. So this particular layout isn't going to work for us. So we have to put them all together in one long row in a series of our 8 coal generators. Now, you'll notice here that I am stacking these in a particular order. I am going from right to left as I'm stacking these. And the reason is, as you can see here, the frames will actually overlap by 2 little clicks over so that they're right snug against each other. And what that does is give us a nice equal spacing here on all of our inputs for both our water and our coal. And it's in the same square on the foundation every time. Putting them down right to left lets that work for us. Left to right, if we spin this around and we have this set up this way, and we're going to get this lined up right about here, because that should line up our first conveyors. Yeah, it does. We're too far away, but it does. If we're doing it from left to right, here we've got our frames so that the borders of them lined up. We move 1 click over, it works. But the second click, it doesn't. We can't stack them as close going left to right, but going right to left, we can get them to take up a lot less real estate. Now, where this becomes a little bit problematic is when we do eventually get our stackable pipes and we can configure this so that there's coal generators on both sides. Every time we do a conveyor expansion or a Mark III miner or Mark II miner, or we start overclocking to get up to 780 items per minute, every time we go to expand this, we have to delete one side of it and replace it all again, so that we're laying all of the coal generators down from right to left. So that's the only kind of downside with that one layout, where here we just keep expanding all the way out, but we don't want to, mathematically, what does that work out to? If we were 780 items per minute divided by 15, that would be 52 coal generators from one line of coal, all lined out. I mean, that would go almost to our elevator. So we definitely would want to condense that into 2 rows. So that's why just kind of mentioning that little bit in there. So now that we have our 8 generators in place, I only had 7 down here at the moment, but there we've got 8 down here now. The next thing we want to do is our input elevator into these. We're going to click on the conveyor hole, and then if you turn it, you can hear the elevator link itself to the generator. That's that little chirp noise. That means it's linked and it's connected. And we're going to quickly run down and connect all of these in line, just like so. Now, the reason why we connect this top elevator first before we work on the bottom floor is once the conveyor elevator is there, then when we come along here with our splitters, and I'm placing the splitter down here right now, as we're moving our splitter out, you see the line there? That means it's perfectly lined up with up top. So we could just quickly run down and slap. I moved that one. I didn't put it in the right spot. We can quickly go and slap these down. And we know they're lined up with up top because we got the little marker line showing us that that is all lined up. Now, the next thing we want to also be cautious about, when you're putting your elevators from the splitters up to the conveyor holes, click your conveyor hole first and then come down to the elevator. If you go the other way around, you'll notice that the elevator won't actually connect to the conveyor hole because they're too close together. Where if you go from the top down, it will link and work perfectly for you. So just another little tip there to help you speed along on your production for doing your manifold distribution of parts. So this is a manifold that we are putting in here that's going to look after our coal distribution. And then, of course, we are just going to tie these all together with some Mark II conveyors. I'm using the fastest for loading. I'm using the fastest speed conveyor I have available because we're trying to get the products into the machine as fast as possible, as soon as possible. Next thing is we now curl this that way. And then we are also going to put a stackable elevator here because we're going to have another line of these set up further down the road. And then we can go with our stackable conveyor pole on this end. Is that the right location? Yep, I think that is. And then bring our core line this way. Bring it down. Continue with our stackable conveyors. Bam! Just like that, we have the logistics done for our first coal plant for the coal input side of our generators. So now I'm going to rinse and repeat. I'm going to build the same setup over here and add them for the second line of coal that we're going to be dealing with. All right, the next step in our little coal power generation here is we need to get these things connected to the power grid. So we're going to run along here and run some power cables to these. And because of how they are stacked, like it's really quite easy to get these all to, look symmetrical and get them to hook up in the cleanest way possible. So we're just quickly running down here and getting all of our power poles put in. And then it's just straight connections to be able to actually hook up the power to each one of these. Now there's one more step that I want to deal with on these coal generators before we start worrying about fluid logistics. And that is, I want to go through and I want to turn off every one of these coal generators. I want them in the off position for when we actually start getting the fluid in here. And the reason for that is dealing with pipes in Satisfactory. When we're dealing with pipes, fluid sloshes back and forth between them before they completely fill up. So you'll see this fluctuate in how much fluid it ends up getting in here. The actual amount of water flowing in will fluctuate. It'll increase and decrease and increase and decrease as the water sloshing back and forth through the pipe. Well, if you've got that happening, then you're going to see these things turning off and on and off and on. And they seem to take forever before they finally synchronize and run consistently. So if you have them all off until your water pipes and your water tank inside the actual coal generators are completely full, then when you go and power these on, they're just going to work right away. And you'll have no issues with the power fluctuating on them at all. So I got to get these ones here connected, get them turned off, and then we're going to work on some water logistics. All right, now is the time to talk about some fluid logistics. So I'm going to load up on the screen here. This is another chart that I've grabbed from the Satisfactory Wiki, satisfactory.wiki.gg. Remember that. I'm actually going to put it in text on the screen here so you can see it. We're dealing with the top section here under the Mark 1 miner for our coal generators. And we're going to be talking about water extractors at 100%. We're not going to play around with percentages right now. There are some efficiencies that you can do where if you lower the power usage and underclock the water, you can actually get more water for less power. But for this instance, we're just going to talk about 100% water extractors, dealing with the pure nodes, which means we need 3 water extractors for each one of our coal plants here. So this coal plant has got 3 generators in there. This is going to require 3 water extractors. Okay, let's head over and have a look at a water extractor. Let's go put one of these water extractors actually out in the pond here, just to look at. Water extractors, they get us 120 cubic meters of water per minute. Per minute. Yes. Okay, that's fine. We need 3 of them. Not a problem. That's 360 water per minute that we're going to be dealing with. All right. So then let's set up our water bulkhead that's going to be handling all of that fluid. We're just going to click here and we're going to bring this down as far as it'll go, which is right about here. And then we're going to bring it the rest of the way so that it lines up perfectly with that edge. Okay, So we're going to put 360 cubic meters of water into this pipe. So let's have a look at the pipe. Wait. The maximum flow rate of a pipe is 300 cubic meters of fluid per minute. Well, we need 360. You're thinking, Terris, how are you going to get 360 cubic meters of fluid into this pipe when it can only take 300 cubic meters? Not a problem. We are going to feed this bulkhead in three different locations. We're going to have 120 cubic meters of water going in on this end. We're going to have 120 cubic meters of water going in on this end. And we're going to have 120 cubic meters of water going right into the middle, right about here. You're still saying, but Terris, that's still 360 cubic meters of water. Technically, yes. But you do have to remember that our coal generators over here, each one of these coal generators is consuming 45 cubic meters of water as it's coming in. So if we got 120 coming in on this side, well, these first two are going to take away 90 of that, which leaves 30 left over. Same thing happens on this end with a 30 left over. So that's 60 that's kind of available for these middle ones. So you come in with another 120 in here. That's going to be 180 cubic meters, which divides up equally between these four generators. So you're consuming 360 out of a 300 cubic meter pipe. Let me show you exactly how that's going to work. So first things first is we got to get our splitters in here. And if you note, if you have it lined up like this, if you hold the control key, your pipe splitter will lock into position and line up with the coal generator. Makes it really easy for you to be able to come along here and place these. One thing to keep in mind when you're dealing with pipe splitters, and this has been a glitch since the beginning of pipes, every once in a while when you connect a pipe splitter, for whatever reason, it doesn't connect itself to the pipe properly, and you'll get zero flow past it. I've also seen it with like pipe holes and floors and pipe holes and walls where it just doesn't link to the pipe properly, and for whatever reason, nothing flows through it. You have to delete the splitter, re-add it again, and things start working again. Okay, so there's our manifold for water is all set up. Now we need to count back 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This is our center location right here. This is where our second water pipe is going to connect. And we're going to feed this like so. We're going to link it right up to that middle line. And bring it right out to here. Perfect. Now we're going to come back with another one. Not that way. We want it spun around. Okay, we're going to bring these now right to about here. We're going to bring it right along like this. Get a nice 90 degree in there. And that didn't come far enough. I want to come just a little bit further with that. So that the two line up. And then you end up with a nice pipe connecting like that. So our first water extractor is going to feed into this line. The second one is going to feed into this one that connects into the middle. And the third is going to connect into this line and into the end. That is going to get us our 360 cubic meters. Now I need to do the exact same with this over on this one over here. Okay, now that we have our water logistics set up at the actual generators, of which I have not fully connected these yet, let's just quickly get these all connected so that when we do get water here, they actually go into the generators. Okay, now it's all done. The next thing we got to focus on is we got to get our water extractors set up. So if we come over here to our lake, you're going to notice something here. I have put a 1 meter foundation 1 meter below the surface of the water. And the reason for this is when we grab our water extractor now, if we don't have a foundation around, like it kind of free floats wherever you want it. Look what happens when we put it over top of a foundation. Now all of a sudden it wants to lock to grid, which makes it super easy for us to manage our pipes going into or coming out of these and lining up with our foundations. So now we need 5 of these, or sorry, a total of 6 of these. So we're just going to quickly run along here with these and get them all to line up. Here we go. That's 2, 3, 4. Number 5 is this one. We're just going to put a little bit more foundation out here. Now, we don't, because of the way the landscape is, we don't have room for number 6 here. So we're just going to, I'm going to take some of this foundation and we're just going to continue that along there. And then we're going to go back to our 4-meter foundation. Just kind of fill in this little bit of a gap here. I believe if I go this way, I think I have enough room right here for this one. And perfect, that lines up to center. Oh, I don't want to quite that close. We're going to go a little bit further away from it. Right there, it'll be totally fine. And then I want to run with some foundation. Oh, I don't have enough concrete. I'm going to go get some more concrete. But that's how we're going to have these all set up. And because of the foundations that we've got here, and I mean, we're going to be able to continue these and make more room for more water extractors in here, have some walk paths and stuff through. When we get our nobelisks, we can blow these out of the way, and we can actually get a fair amount of water extractors up here for future development. So let me go get some more concrete. Okay, so I went and got some more concrete, and I've got this area all finished up here. We have our 6 water extractors, but now we need to get our water from here all the way down over to there, and also make it look nice and neat and tidy. So the best way to do this is, you know, take advantage of your 90 degrees, work with that. So remember, on 90 degrees, it's find your center, then back up 1, or back up 2 to get a 90-degree turn. Conveyors and pipe basically work the same way. Now, I want to make sure that these are spaced right, so I'm actually going to put this all the way out so I know I'm going to have room for 5 pipes. I'm going to get rid of each one of these. So that is the 90-degree turn that I want for the first pipe. Then we're going to do this one, line it up with center, bring it over to this one. I'm only going to come out 4 because this is the second pipe we're putting in. And we're going to just delete out those. Come back to this one, line it up with center, move 2. That's this one. We're only going to do 3 of these this time. And then we're coming to here, out 2. And then finally, this one goes right there. And then this one will end up being, I believe it is just lined up right about here is where the 90 degree is on that. Okay, so now if we grab our pipe, you're going to see this. When we connect, it's a nice 90-degree turn. And because we had those linked to our foundations, they line up perfectly with our grid of our foundations. And just like that, we have a nice, neat, organized line of where our conveyors are going to get set up. Okay, let me get some more pipe laid here, and then we'll worry about how we're going to get it down to that next level. Okay, so the way we're going to work with these to get them down to the next level is we're going to grab our little pipe support here, and we're going to start with putting 3 of these in a row right here. That's going to be the 3 inputs for this side. And then we're going to come over here and we're going to put down 3 of these right here. That's going to be the inputs for this side. Now we need to come with our pipe, and we're just going to do 90-degree drops out of this if I connect it to the right side of the support. There we go. A nice 90-degree drop. That's what we end up with there. And then we could take this pipe here and we're just going to turn it 90 degrees, bring it down, and we're going to do the same thing and turn it back 90 degrees this way. Same here, bring the pipe down, make our 90-degree turn. Come down and turn this to wherever 90 degrees works out to, which is right there. Same here, bring it down. And this is going to make everything all look nice and neat and tidy here. And then we could just connect these straight across. So that's taking care of getting the pipe up to this level. Now the reason I have this stepped down here. Okay, when we're dealing with Mark 1 pipes and dealing with water extractors are capable of doing what's called 10 meters of head lift. Meaning from the pipe, you can go 10 meters up into the air, and that's as high as water can pump. So when we start dealing with stackable pipes and stuff, depending on how big this is going to be and how much water we're going to be using, we could end up with some fairly high stacks of pipe. And I don't want to have to deal with water pumps to be able to increase. If we could put a Mark 1 water pump on a pipe, and that'll give you an extra 20 meters of head lift. But then you're dealing with just more issues with potential failure for your fluid flow. So I dropped this down so that everything is below what we actually have like 18, 17 meters of head lift that we can deal with here before it's ever going to be an issue. Well, we're never going to deal with 17 meters worth of pipes high here. So now it's a non-issue. Your head lift is always going to be capable. You never have to worry about it. It's the highest point is your highest point of head lift. Doesn't matter where you are in the series of pipes. So we could build this all the way back. We could pump water all the way down to the floor and all the way back up to here, and it'll work with no problem because our head lift is 10 meters above the height of the pipe that's coming out of the water extractor. So as long as we don't go above that height, we don't have to worry about the water extractor not capable of pushing the water that high to get it there. So we could go all the way down to the ground and all the way back up to this platform without having to put a water pump in. Just a little trick for you if you're dealing with fluids on things to look out for when you're working with that. So now we got to connect these pipes up here. So we're just going to take this. We're coming out to this corner. That should be the first one. That's hooked up. Come out to the next one. If I can actually connect to the pipe, there we go. And finally, our third pipe here. Okay, so fluid logistics are now complete for our first coal generator plant. I'm going to get the pipes done for the next one, and then we're going to turn on the water and see how things work. Okay, we have all of our fluid logistics are all set up now. The water pipes are all hooked up and ready to go. And all in all, I think it looks pretty neat and tidy. We had this little rock island here that we had to kind of work around, but I think we did a reasonable job to try to keep it nice and neat and as close to the rock as possible. We might have room for one more pipe to sneak through there if need be, but I think we're good here for what we need right now. The next thing we got to do is we got to go along here now and actually power up these water extractors. So we're going to fire up each one of these, and this is going to start putting fluid into our generators. And if you'll notice here, you'll see on the pipes as things start to flow, the pipes will expand out, and that's showing that the fluid is starting to flow through the pipe and down into our system. And then, of course, we'll have to come all the way back down here, and it does take time for it. This is where that fluid slosh comes into play. It takes time for this fluid to start getting down here. It can just slowly starting to creep in here. So that means we should be able to slowly start seeing some water flow. So this is starting to take on some water. So we know that one's working. And this is where we're double checking to make sure our pipe splitters did what they were supposed to do. We should be seeing water trickling into every single one of these as we go and check them. And so far, so good. Every one of these are taking on fluid. So let's go back and check the exact same thing on these ones. We have fluid going in. There is fluid going in on that one. It's going in there. So far, so good. Things are looking up and up here as they're taking on water. So now it's just a matter of waiting for the water lines to fully charge. Okay, things should be really starting to charge up now. If we go along and we look at our coal generators, these should be almost full, almost ready to go for us. They are slowly getting there. Just waiting for the last few of these. See, this one's now completely full. These center ones, they're full now. So it's just, you can tell if the center ones completely fill out, that means that this is getting its fluid, that's getting fluid. Because it's going to fill the ones at the end and the ones in the center first on these. So it looks like now this side is completely full. Let's check these ones. Everything's looking good. Everything appears to be full of fluid. So now we can go and power these up. We're going to get, with the amount of coal generators we have here, we're going to get 1.2 gigawatts of power out of these. Which is, if you can see the gray line here, this is our new power. As we bring each one of these online, that power line is stepping up. So each power plant is going to generate 600 megajoules or 600 megawatts of power coming off of these power plants. And this should be now the end. So we're actually making 1.57 gigawatts of power here, but that's because our biomass generators are still running down there. We're going to delete them. But now we have fully automated coal power running 240 coal per minute, divided between two separate coal plants, 120 coal per, and 360 cubic meters of water per minute are all flowing along. This is running at 100% efficiency and generating 1.2 gigawatts of power for us. This gives us lots of room for our next year's worth of development on our starter factory. Now, the fun part is destroying our biomass. So I've got like 4 stacks of solid biofuel. It's set aside for our chainsaw when we need it. The rest of this system can all go away. We don't need any of it anymore. It's all goodbye. It'll be so nice to get rid of this. So I'm going to tear all this down, and then the excess solid biofuel and any biomass that we've picked up, we're going to dump that into the Awesome Sink and get some awesome tickets, awesome shop tickets, coupons, so that we can start getting some of the cosmetic upgrades. You hear that now? The sound of silence up here. No more biomass generators grinding away. Our base is all nice and quiet. Oh, and I've already thrown a bunch of the solid biofuel into our little storage container here. I'm going to throw the rest that I picked up here as well. Keeping a little bit on me for our chainsaw usage. So that's going to grind away and make some tickets for us so that we could start getting our awesome shop upgrades. Now, time to continue with our tier 3 milestones. We have 2 milestones that we want to do. There's vehicular transportation and basic steel production. What do both of these need? Modular frames is the thing that we're not making right now. We need to be making modular frames to be able to pull this off. Well, we don't have a modular frame factory set up. So that's what we've got to work on now, is getting some automated modular frames. Okay, so kind of over in this area here is where I'm going to set up a couple of assemblers that are going to deal with our modular frames. And the reason why I'm going to set it up on this side is because we need to be able to get iron rods from over here, and we need to get reinforced iron plate from over here. So logistically, I'm going to have to kind of move some things around here so that our smart plating can still get fed, but we can still pull our reinforced iron plate through here to be able to load into 2 assemblers for that. So first things first, let's clean up the logistics for our smart plating and extend out our foundation here to support our new assemblers that are going in. Okay, so this is what I've done to kind of modify the logistics over here for our smart plating. Is I put a little elevator system in here to kind of get this conveyor up out of the way so that it's not interfering with what's going to be happening on the ground level here. And then I've added an additional splitter in here because this is only using 2 reinforced iron plate per minute. We're making a total of 10 per minute. And what is needed for our modular frames? Let's have a look here. Modular frames is going to use 3 per minute, so that's 6. That still leaves us an extra 2 per minute of reinforced iron plate that we're not really going to be using right away. So that's kind of handy. So if I could get back into the air again here. So we're going to take these assemblers now, and I need to make sure that it lines up with the input. I want to say it's right about there is where that is. And I'm giving myself enough room to be able to deal with the logistics. So now this conveyor line can come all the way up to here, but I'm only going to put it right about there because we need to split this now. So our input side is there, and we're going to line that up right with the middle. This might be too close. Yeah, that is too close. We got to back this up just a little bit. We can actually do it right from here. We'll grab I'm using Mark II conveyors because, again, I want the product to fly through as fast as possible. There we go. And then this lines up and clicks. Now the next thing we got to do is we got to put one of our little stackable poles on this input side. Not there. That's the wrong spot. Let's put it in the right spot, which is lined up here. That center, come back to, and that way we get our 90-degree here. And it just looks cleaner. So that is now product going in, dumped, and split. So the next thing we got to do is, well, first things first is I want to increase the speed of this product all moving along here because we're going to fill this up a little bit faster than what we were. So I'm upgrading all this to Mark II conveyor belts all the way along here. Mark II, Mark II. Same with the elevators. We're going to upgrade them. When you're upgrading, you don't have to tear them out. You can just click on them with the upgraded ones and it'll replace the components and make it a Mark II. We're deleting out this and we're putting a splitter. And that is going to happen right hither. Take our Mark II conveyor, feed it in. And then we're coming out here and we got to turn 90 degrees. We're going to take another one of these splitters and we're going to line it up perfect. Just like so. That's not where I wanted to click that. I wanted to go forward and then back to 90-degree feed it. Boom. Okay, we have our logistics taken care of. Heavy modular, reinforced iron plates are going into here. Our iron rods are feeding in on this side. So now we just have to come up with some kind of nifty little storage here. So we're just going to grab a storage container, flip it around so the input side is facing the right way. We're going to grab a merger. Not that one. This one right here. We're just going to throw that down there and then grab some conveyors to haul this stuff out. And then just like that, we have our automated modular frames. Now we're not making a huge pile of them. Don't get excited that we've got it, because it's not really going to be... We'll be expanding this later on, I guarantee you. But what does this end up making? This makes up a whole 4 modular frames per minute is what we are now going to be getting out of this. and it's actively working because we've loaded in some materials. I'm just going to split this up a little bit so that we can get a little bit of a head start. Throw a little bit more iron rods into these as well too. Perfect. Okay, so this is now just going to run so that we can turn in our next milestones. This is the only component we needed for our next 2 milestones. Let's go back now and see just how much of that we actually needed. Okay, we're up here at the hub and we look at this. We need 25 modular frames for vehicular transportation and another 50. We need a total of 75 modular frames. We also need some more rotors too, because we need 150 for this one. And we need a total of 250 rotors. So we're going to have to wait for those production lines to kind of keep cooking along. Let's see how many tickets we've got. And maybe we could start doing a little bit of base customization. Well, we have enough for 13 right now. So I'm going to grab that. And we're going to head over to our awesome shop here. And we're going to do a little bit of shopping. So first things first is I want to go to customizer and I want concrete. This is add to cart. We've got that in there. Okay, is there anything else in the customizer that we want? I don't think that's the only one I'm really concerned with. Oh, we could go with concrete walls. We'll add that as well. We're going to add that to the cart. So that's 6 we've used. Let's go to architecture. We're going to grab some railings. We're going to add that to carts. And we're going to grab the modern railings. We're going to add that to cart as well too. What is our total here now? 8. So that means we have 5 more to spend. What else do we want to spend at? We want to look at probably some foundations. That one we're going to add to cart. So that leaves us 2, which is this one. Add to cart. Okay. 13. Buy all. We've added a few things. We'll wait for some more tickets. But now, if we go to our customizer and we go to materials, we get concrete. Look, we get concrete foundations now. And the base just looks so much better with concrete foundations. I am so happy that we have this now. And we're going to quickly run around. And while we're waiting for the modular frames to build, I'm going to get all of this customization done to turn all of this into concrete. Because it just looks so much better under a concrete factory than with these like bordered foundations that are here. The bordered foundations, I don't really like the looks of them. I don't know what it is about it. I think it looks too Lego-y, too block-like, where this seems a little bit more like it's a solid structure. So I'm going to continue doing with this while we're waiting for those modular frames. Okay, we have gone around and upgraded everything to concrete foundations now instead of, and it just, let's hop back up here in the air so you can have a look. Just, it looks so much better. The factories just kind of pop now that you've got this extra contrast to everything. So the conveyors just stand out a lot more. The factories stand out a lot more. Everything just looks a lot neater and well placed. We also now have all of the items that we need to be able to complete our hub upgrade. So let's head into vehicular transportation. We are selecting this milestone. We are adding modular frames, we're adding rotors, we're adding cables, and we are adding rods. Launch away. We have now completed our Tier 3 vehicular transportation upgrade. That milestone's now done. So now we got to wait for this pod to return. And in the meantime, there's a few more things that I need to kind of run around and gather up for turning in basic steel production. Actually, no, I don't. I have everything I need. I've got the modular frames, I've got the rotors, I've got the concrete, and I've got the wires. So really, right now, all we got to do is just wait for this pod to return. And our pod is returning, so that means as soon as it lands, we can complete our final Tier 3 milestone. and that is going to be basic steel production. So let's head over to select milestone. We're going to basic steel production. We're going to select this milestone. We're throwing in 50 modular frames. We are throwing in 150 rotors. We're throwing in 300 concrete and 1,000 wire. Launch away. Our tier 3 is now complete. So what does that mean? Active milestones. Let's have a look at what we're going to be looking at here in the future. So we have 5 more milestones that we get to look at for tier 4. We have advanced steel production. We have enhanced power infrastructure, and you're going to note there's 2 new items in here. That's the power tower and the power tower platform. Those are new power pole distribution systems for that were introduced here in update 8. So it'll be interesting to start playing around with those. We get our hyper tubes as well too, so we can transport around our base a little bit faster. Logistics Mark III, we get our 270 item per minute belts. And also we get the blueprint designer. One thing to note under advanced steel production, do you see what we end up getting? We get the Mark II miner, which means we're going to be able to upgrade everything. If we focus on getting advanced steel production and logistics Mark III next episode, then we're going to be able to do a major base upgrade enhancement all the way around here. So that's what we're kind of looking forward to. Let's do a quick recap. What did we get done? We got our tier 3 milestones complete in this episode. We also were able to spend a little bit of time throwing some stuff into the Awesome Shop to get us some coupons so that we could start doing some customizations. And as you can see, we have upgraded our factory with our concrete foundations, which just makes it look fantastic. But probably the most important thing that we did in this episode, and the most enjoyable thing, was we went up here and we built our coal power, automated power infrastructure up here, generating 1.2 gigawatts of power for us. No more having to harvest biomass, solid biofuel. It's in the past. And quite frankly, I think this here is the perfect spot to end this episode. And I think this is a pretty good little screenshot right here as well too for a potential thumbnail. So with that all said, guys, please reach down, hit the like button on the video, leave a comment, let me know what you think so far of this playthrough, what your thoughts are on update 8, and have you had any little glitches? Have you seen anything noticeable in your gameplay through, because of course we are an experimental, there's going to be some bugs and whatnot as we kind of progress through. Subscribe if you are new to the channel, and don't forget to ring that notification bell so you can be notified when a new video has been updated. And of course, we all know how well YouTube notifications work, so feel free to follow me on Instagram and Twitter at TerrisDWDC, because I also post over there when I've released 8 new episodes. So with that all said, guys, you have yourself a good one, and we will see you in the next episode. Bye-bye for now.